There's a lot of money in gender identity. That's why we call it gender, because it is an industry. You remember it was a couple of weeks ago, there was some feminist Marxist, at least nominally, who was all up in my grill about calling it an industry. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like, no one calls it an industry. That's stupid. I'm like, oh, really? It's not an industry. Why don't you explain to me how gender hasn't become an industry? Of all the things to come at me from a Marxist to get irritated about a communist symbol in her bio, how is this not an industry? It's like that was the controversial part of that statement. The industry, of course, sustains itself by promoting the narrative that gender identity is central to personal fulfillment and societal progress. It's not the money, that's just a happy coinkydink. All the money and all the jobs and all the careers and all the virtue signaling and all this, that, and whatever, that's just, don't look at that. That's just secondary.
No. Right.
It's really about
the wealth.
Yes. And that's especially where the advocacy and the media comes in. Kamala Harris writing Dylan Mulvaney a letter on his 1 year of girlhood, living authentically.
Oh, God. Must be such a headache, that guy.
So there's conflicts of interest because you have the financial and institutional incentives raise questions about whether the promotion of gender ideology and all this stuff that follows from it serves actually these poor people who have these, I don't even know, what should I call it? Unique. Okay, let me think about my words here. So it serves those who have these minority gender identities, or if it serves the industry itself.
Right.
So all the activist organizations advocating now for so-called gender identity rights are receiving significant funding from donors, often channeling these resources into lobbying, legal battles, and public quote-unquote awareness campaigns. Public awareness sounds fantastic, but are you raising my awareness or are you indoctrinating or gaslighting me?
It's not like telling people not to leave their pets in the car in summer, right? Which is, like awareness. That's helpful. But telling impressionable young people who all seem to be on some kinds of meds anyways for their anxiety or depression or ADHD, or telling these kids that, oh, well, you might be feeling sad because born in the wrong body, that's total indoctrination.
Yeah, they haven't been able to articulate or to specify their particular gender identity. That's the problem. So many of these organizations partner with corporations for visibility funding and to push so-called diversity initiatives that, of course, include gender identity as a key component. Let's remember that what gender identity means in practice is that we go along as if there are male women and female women and male men and female men. So undermining or blurring what used to be common sense and clearly defined girl, boy, man, woman. So now there's us unintentional, just born this way, women. And then there's the male women who have something called a woman gender identity that is not measurable or objectively determined or anything like that. It's basically a claim. And since these unicorns have this claim very insistently, this becomes something that we should, affirm and recognize and incorporate.
Yes, respect.
And I only know this because my awareness has been raised.
Only.
We cannot protect women and girls from harmful sex discrimination, invasions of their sexual privacy, and sex-based violence against women and girls if sex is judicially redefined to mean an amorphous continuum of subjectively felt genders that may not relate to sex at all. Further, we are clear about our sex. Listen, boys. And listen, everybody. We are female human beings. This recognition is demonstrably more accurate than notions from the framework of so-called gender identity. In fact, not a single one of us has a gender identity at all. Do you have a gender identity, Tanya?
I don't, but sometimes I've toyed with the idea of having something really cool, maverick, renegade gender, hey? Because they actually exist. There's websites and there's 300 and you can pick. And you can change as much as you want. Why do I have to be a boring middle-aged? Why can't I be a renegade gender? How fun is that?
And all the accoutrements, like your birthstone, you can have your gender stone. I love Daniel. He's good for the comedy.
My father actually says this shit. The fact he has absorbed this nonsense just indicates to me that Trumpism is now pure mockery. I think it's over.
Who types to their dad "Happy Election Day" with an exclamation point?
To generate content.
Same to you. May the commies lose. Go Trump. And he tweets later.
My dad sent me a photo of him and his girlfriend both wearing trash bags at a polling place. He wrote, "Trash wins." So yeah, I think culture war identity politics was a catastrophic mistake all around.
Do you, Daniel? You're the dude who will say trans women are women. Tut for these guys. Tut would say that these are women, but identity politics all around. Daniel, please take a seat. He's trying to cover his bases now. He sees which way the winds are blowing. Oh, everybody was guilty of identity politics. To quote Zizek at him, he lacks the language to be able to articulate his particular form of unfreedom.
Why is that man wearing a skirt?
Emperor's new skirt.
Was he a United
Well,
States?
one's a trans woman and one's a non-binary. And one's a she, her now. And even though he has a wife and kids, we all know that what makes a woman is putting on a woman outfit.
Even the pantyhose. I mean,
James transphobe, shush. Anyway.
Grandpa dressing like that. Like, what the heck? Like,
I have to dig into him because he thinks I'm a fascist transphobe because I'm not a sex denialist. And I don't think it's empowering for there to be male women. I love that I was able to say, did you explain to him that Trump is a father of the horde figure and does tweets that make sex mimics cry? So I wrote back, your dad sounds based. Someone I could have a beer with. I bet he knows there's no such thing as male women. I'm Team Daddy Tut. I'm all King Dad Tut.
Posting your L's.
Hey, man, I'm sure that next Delusian reading group you have will really build bridges. Maybe RFK is right. Maybe there's been like a concerted effort to reduce the testosterone.
there must be.
And Alex
Have you been
Jones.
tested, Gary? What's your T level?
Toxic.
What's your masculinity level? Is it toxic, Anthony, or is it just right?
I think it's fully toxic from how I'm being perceived by people.
I love Daniel. He's good for the comedy, but not intentionally.
I was just thinking maybe science would have something to say about having your genitals rearranged surgically.
Because it's reducing distress. Yeah. If you're dysphoric, which means unhappy about your female body, if you're a woman, or your male body, if you're a man, you have a bad feeling. And so what they're doing is reducing that bad feeling. Ergo, it must be somehow good, scientific, etc. Yeah.
You know what? I have a friend who's a wound care nurse of like 30 years. She's a total pro. She's nice to the gender people, but she was telling me that she sees a lot of young women who've had the surgery who come in peeing like out of 4 places because of their rupture.
Of course.
So I guess feeling sad is worse than peeing out of 4 places.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
And we
feel
know a
sad.
common problem for the guys. So guys, tuck, don't cut. Because a lot of the guys who go through the bottom surgery complain of anal leakage. So apparently the lining, I don't know, between the perineum and where the poop comes out of, there's seepage. So your fake vagina smells like poop.
Right.
Poop has never come out of my vagina.
God. Can you imagine? The boys
3
who've
babies
had,
have, but
who've had the puberty blockers, so they have micro penises, so their penises never grow to adult length. So they don't have enough tissue to make a Frankenvag, so they have to use part of the colon, and that also smells bad. At least they're not feeling sad at night, right?
Yeah,
At least they're not dysphoric.
it's a different. You're not worried about that anymore. You're worried about infections and
Thank
weird
you, science.
smells and having to dilate. Anyway, but fortunately, most men who claim that they're women don't go in for the full package, the full gender kit. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Morbid Symptoms Podcast. I'm your host, Tara Van Dyke, and I apologize for being a bit late today. I had a series of unfortunate issues because I purchased a cheap green screen, and then I had to figure out how to get it to work on my own. And there was no, I'm home alone, so no husband, no tall son, no nothing. And so now I don't know. I was telling Tanya earlier, I wanted to be like to stream from the Oval Office or the Eiffel Tower, but I wasn't able to figure that out. So I have this blue wall. And now I'm wondering if my light, let's see what's going on here. Oh, that's the one I want. Yeah, the warm light. That's better. I don't look like I just rose to go feed on the living. Anyway.
You, right? Can you make it like a brick colored wall or something?
I can. Let me see. Let's see. Because then all of a sudden Rumble was being weird. And it kept on being like it was gonna, because it gives you a code. And I had to put a different code in each Rumble stream, and then it would act like it did give me that, but it didn't. So then I was fighting with that, and I thought, geez, I gotta shake a leg. Tanya can't stay up forever. Anyway. Let's see. I don't know. Hi, everyone. I'm sure you're very interested in the aesthetic. Let's see. Settings. If I go to virtual background, so I can see, I can get this one.
There you go.
I can do this. Look at my fancy apartment. Although this is, I got my, because I got a cheap green screen, yeah. So it's a bit wavy there. That doesn't work good. I could do this. Ooh.
That's cool too.
Is that cool? Oh yeah, I'm like Medusa. We'll do that for now. Okay.
I like it.
Okay, so
I'm a little jealous.
ooh, well, you too can get a 17-pound green screen.
You're rich for my blood. Sorry, 17 pounds is like a million.
Although I know I'm kind of mixing in here. I'm still gonna have to get better makeup. I don't know. Whatever. What can I do, people? I'm trying. We'll see. Okay, so very quickly here, get a different background. Ooh, now I don't like I can't have that behind me because it washes me out. So very important here. I'm going to go back to the brick. You like the red brick better than the green brick, Tanya?
I like this the best.
You do really, even with my.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like it the best.
Okay.
I think it's and the purple. Everything is working, and
Okay, so I'm like coming out of the.
it makes you less washed out because the background is washed out. You see what I mean? Like the red brick was so lively.
I'm just gonna have to get used to wearing more. I'm gonna have to do with Kardashian makeup next time. Hi everyone, welcome. It's been a while since Tanya and I have done a sex gender ID war update. The last time we were together is when Eddie Liger from Midwestern Marks and the ACP came out of the gender closet.
That was fun.
It was fun.
I like that young man.
Yeah, he's a nice young guy. And we can be that we're all mother that, oh, that young man.
Yes.
Seems so yeah.
Good boy.
At least his public facing self. Yeah. No, and then I had Zhong Yu come on, and he's from Taiwan. He also came out of the gender closet officially. And Saturday, Noah, who's also one of the founding, of ACP and Midwestern Marks, is going to come on. He's also going to come officially out of the gender closet and say openly what he thinks about, fairly openly about, I don't know. So we started something, and I just want to say anybody who wants to come out of the gender closet who's been quiet, or even if they, took pot shots, because, we can all, be part teams and do interesting things. If you want to come on and talk about it, we're more than happy to have you. And the level of struggle session is up to the participant. Yeah, we can dig up all kinds of old tweets and make you explain yourself, or we can just have a,
If they don't struggle, it doesn't hurt. Hello.
That's right. There has to be some discomfort. No, whatever. Anyway, what we want to talk about today is, of course, this fantastic picture that the left gave Trump. What was it now? Like maybe even 3 weeks ago? I don't know when it was, when he did the executive order. There's been a few executive orders, what I would call, pushing the GenderBorg out of the federal government. So there was one about something about banning so-called gender care medicine, whatever, for minors. And then kind of, going back, and all the forms that are federal forms just have male, female now. Crazy stuff like that. He's so radical. So radical.
All the poor bleeding, the walking wounded, male or female. Oh my God.
It's
What
like,
if I don't know?
yeah, it's like, if I can't have, it's like, if I can't have a fiat gender identity backed by the state, I just don't know what's happening.
Right.
Fascism around the corner. And there is bubbling up fascism. I don't think this is where it's at least on this side. But anyway, so there was this great photo, this great thing where he had all these girls surrounding him.
Cute.
And he signed an executive order protecting girls and women's sports, basically saying that women's sports are for women and girls' sports are for girls. That's it.
He did good.
He did good. Yeah, you gotta, And of course, the left, such as it is, responded, very calmly. So what did you, because you're not in, you can probably tell from Tanya and you could probably place Tanya and myself geographically by our accents. But we currently don't reside where we popped out of our moms. So popped out, came out. So what was your take? What has been your read on the reaction of people who are super excited about these executive orders but can't admit it because it's a Trump order? What's been your read on that?
The truth is that I think TERFs on the whole, and these are my women, okay, they are super excited, period. And they might be a little inclined to just think, Trump is just the greatest thing since sliced bread, and we just love him so much, and he can do no wrong ever, forever now. So, I haven't seen too many. In my people, I haven't seen too many people freaking out. But sure, those other people over there, you see them freaking out. I'm sure you'll pull some up right there. People forget that, whoever you've got, you still have to work with him, right? Like, come on, people, good or bad, you still got to work with him.
Yeah. And, when it comes down to not the political in terms of the, the kind of theoretical thing, the longue durée, but like politics, what you want is like, if you want males, whatever they're saying or doing out of women's spaces, and we shouldn't have to pretend that, a hot dog is an apple, vice versa, then this is a good thing. And I also found, but it's just that people wanting to be quiet about it because they don't want it that taint,
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Which I can, it is hard. Because we've all been there. I see things especially on the Twitter feed, the For You feed, which is a nightmare oftentimes. And I see things from somebody, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's great." And I think about retweeting it, and I will think about because let's say that Matt Walsh, for example, because I just saw something stupid he said. But sometimes he posts things, and I'm like, "Yeah, right on." But I have I'll have a thing like, well, first of all, does he really need more attention? Because But then I think. And I don't want to do the wimpy thing where I have this, these disclaimers, like, well, people are like, well, of course he's a total devil man, blah, 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 blah. However, in this one particular instant, on this day, on this particular moment.
Yeah, that's overthinking it. Just tweet it out.
Just say it, It's like, but I do also think about that, so, it's one of those things, but, to me, which I think is also interesting, is the people who want to overthink it. Like, well, this would be more like the Bindle angle on the UK TERF thing. Oh, people who really, because she was going on Julie Bindle and the women who actually think, are so stupid. They actually think that Trump is going to do anything for women. And then of course you have to go from that to, well, if you really think he did this because X, Y, and Z, and it's like, who gives a shit?
Right. It was the Heritage Foundation.
I'm glad that you don't have dicks swinging in the girls' changing room anymore. But I wonder if he did it for the right reasons.
No kidding. Talk about looking a gift horse in the mouth, eh? I mean, I'm all for watching these people and following them around and being cynical and catching them at their I'm all for that. Do it.
Mhm.
Let's all do it.
Well, yeah, they are
But
politicians.
Jesus Christ. Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. Like, but
Yeah.
talk about gift horsing in the mouth. Wow.
Mhm.
It's I don't know.
But
It's so
I don't
funny,
know. I
isn't
was
it?
gonna play the video, but I didn't. But there's this video, and he's just like, he's kind of of course, he's a schmoozer.
Hmm.
You can't be a salesman and a TV personality and whatnot without being a schmoozer. And people do say
Right.
that one-on-one, he's quite charming. So I just, I try really
I
hard
bet.
to remind myself that he's not that I've been encouraged to think of him as the devil incarnate, and that is
Hmm.
not the best way to approach things.
He's been
But-
around for years. He's met gazillions of people. I'm sure that he is. I'm
Mhm.
sure that he is
But
quite
so
charming.
he's surrounded again. Let's look at this fantastic picture. So this was even before. So you have girls and women of
Hmm.
all ages. It's not all bright white skin. It's a diverse thing, and of
Hmm.
course they had him being a space around him as they do for the protection thing. And I don't know if this was planned ahead of time or whatever, but he basically starts beckoning the girls and the women to come around him while he's signing this stuff, and he's like, and then he makes like, the Secret Service are getting nervous, and he's like, no, it's okay. If
They
they're
suck anyway.
if they're coming to get me, then we really have a problem. And he's
Yeah.
coming in, he's like, see this? You can just kind of see that he has grandkids. This is going to be a 10. This is going to be a top 10 signature. You ready for this? And the girl's like, yeah. And he's like handing out pens, like grandpa handing out suckers or something. And it's like, and it's still the people on the left who are still operating for whatever reason under this Trump derangement syndrome have to will still find a way to make this an insidious occasion.
Right? He's using those girls.
He's
He's
using all
getting
of
them
them.
like horse.
And yeah, of course, a political win for him. Duh.
Yeah.
I mean, how easy is it to say that girls and women are females and not males?
No
So,
kidding.
How hard is that to say? Apparently, well, it's become very hard to say, but it shouldn't be.
No, it's ridiculous. Kamala could have done this. She could have sat in the middle of a bunch of girls and been like, "Girls,
Look
I'm
at them
gonna
looking
give you
at him
advice."
like, oh, they're having a good look at these looks. Look at this lady. I mean, got the cheerleader in here. You
Yeah.
got the probably soccer. You got all kinds of things.
Look at this lady
Oh
in
my
red. That's
God.
what I'd be doing. Oh. At last. Looks good in red though. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. And then this just I had the writing on here, but just surrounded in a sea of female. So happy that he's just saying, yeah, you don't have to pretend the guys are girls, and you don't have to
Yeah.
at least, and of course, this will go through. There'll be lawsuits and all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
But it is very
And
significant
Bruce
that this
Jenner
is
will go
coming
to his
from
house.
the
Yeah.
executive order in the White House. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
for
I
him.
mean, I saw that picture and I was like, my God, of course, and this is the thing, is that it's kind of like a guilty pleasure. There's lots of things that Trump says and does that drive me up the wall that I think are just like, my God. But
Yeah.
the dude is entertaining.
He really is. Do you know what there's that clip of him walking off the plane and going, "This is the first time I have heard this. I'm hearing this information for the very first time. It's such a useful gift. I'm hearing this for the very first time. Every
you
time I
know?
use it, I hear about it though. Oh, I really wish you wouldn't use Trump gifts. It's true. I've heard about it before. Like, oh God,
Yeah.
give me a break.
It's like, calm down, people.
Really.
Like they think he's like Beetlejuice or something.
Right? Like the devil.
Like Beetlejuice, you say it too many times, or like, what is that
Trump's
Bloody
gonna
Mary
appear in your
game? You
lips.
stand in front of the mirror and you're like, Bloody Mary. I won't say it 3 times, people.
No,
It's like,
don't.
calm down. Oh my
Don't.
God. So of
Count
course,
it.
while this is going on, and I have to tell people, I don't know what, of course, we're all in our bubbles, but so and I'm just going to use the left, how it's used in regular speech. So anything from the Democrats over is considered the left, mainly in common
Right.
talk. And I'm
Right.
aware of people that's problematic to lump liberals and social democrats and anarchists and socialists and communists and all the other stuff together. But
Yeah, we don't have
where
to.
we're at.
No
But while they're
fantasy.
doing this, while he's
Mm.
doing this, and the silent majority is with him all the way. I mean, there's the people who are vocal, either anonymously or non-anonymously, who've been talking about this for a long time. Like, this is trying to be like, this is crazy, trying to get through the media blackout and the smear campaigns of, how dare you be transphobic, or these trans women and trans kids and all the other crap. Sorry if you're involved in that. This is a general statement. I'm not attacking anybody in particular, but that'll come later. We gotta have our fun. Yeah, but the silent majority. But while this is going on, you have the Democratic Socialists of America and the Party for Socialism and Liberation just banging on about what we call sex mimics, and really upset that child vivisection clinics, you can go and get sex lobotomies for the kids who've either because their parents have decided not to gender them and to wait till the kid indicates what their gender is, and then they take them down to the gender clinic if it doesn't match their body, or they pick up on it online, or they think it's whatever it is, however the idea gets into the home or the school and the kid's idea that they're trans, whatever. So while this was going on, NYC DSA last night, this is a couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks ago, it was right around the executive orders. Last night, thousands of New Yorkers turned up on a moment's notice to demand NYU, long gone is a hospital there, stop cutting off healthcare for trans youth. As more and more hospitals capitulate to authoritarian attacks on our healthcare system, we know this fight is just beginning. Now, I'll let Tanya tell you what these yahoos are actually fighting for in practice.
They might have said they were there to stop cutting off girls' tits. I mean, I don't mean to be vulgar, but I don't. It's not something I feel like. I'm not like, oh no, all these girls are losing their breasts. This is the worst tragedy ever. I don't care. My grandma had her breasts off for cancer, and she had these really cool scars that made her look like an Amazon. They were diagonal, and it doesn't really affect me. But you hear the way people go on and on about. But what they're really fighting for, is basically to keep letting girls have their breasts cut off, right?
It's castration, it's sterilization, it's basically Dr. Genderstein's gender clinic. It's exactly what it is. But under the guise of healthcare, it's like cutting off healthy body parts and rearranging them to have a simulacra that's riddled with problems to make a fake vagina or a fake penis and all that stuff that we talked about before. That's one of my favorite clips of you and I is when we talk about poop. The vagina his fake vagina smells like poop.
Yeah, edifying conversation.
Places because they've had some sort of fake whatever is going on. It's Dr. Genderstein's human vivisection. Of course, surgeons are going to be interested in that. I'm not saying it abdicates from them, but this is what these people are demanding. This is not healthcare.
No, even if they don't have any surgeries, if you're a woman and you want to pretend to be a man and you go on the gender affirming care path, because that's the terminology, and they used it too, gender affirming care, right? So what are some things that are non-gender affirming? Oh, your menstrual cycle. So how do you deal with that? Well, you get lots and lots and lots of testosterone, anabolic steroids. How do those work? So you get poisoned. So your woman who wants to be affirmed as a man will be poisoned by testosterone until the point where the doctors have to say, you know what, you have vaginal atrophy. That sucks. We're gonna have to lower the dose of testosterone, and then you might get your menstrual cycle again, which is not gender affirming. So what do? You have an Ufer hysterectomy, right? You get your ovaries out, you get your uterus out, and then you go into early menopause, and then you go into induced surgical menopause, and then you might get early onset dementia. So if you're a nice lesbian woman with a lovely family, dementia is no joke. You don't want to get it at 35 years old, right? Like, how is society going to pay for all of all of the people getting, all of the young women getting early onset dementia because they've had surgical menopause because of, gender affirming care.
Yeah.
It's sick, scary.
Yeah.
Dementia is scary. There's going to be a big
You know that term, iatrogenic? Is that the word? Iatrogenic?
iatrogenic. Yeah, they get a bunch of iatrogenic illnesses, which is, conditions, harm caused by the treatment.
Affirmation harm.
Yeah.
And this is a good note for people. A yes can be as bad, if not worse, than a no. So I would hit with like, let's not, cut off body parts and pump ourselves full of hormones that, sorry, we weren't made to have that level of.
No, right?
That's not a construct. Estrogen is not a construct.
No.
Gender affirming care, that's a construct. So anyway, they that's just what they were really about this. And you had Cynthia Nixon and all other kinds of people, and then it came out that she has like 5,000 trans people in her family and a trans son and this that whatever, because I guess that means
transing like the Moonies.
And I had this thing, not that this is as serious, but I had it made me think of, and maybe you had a similar experience. I can't remember when it was. It was sometime in the late 80s. And I had they were cool. I had an aunt and uncle. And all of a sudden, whenever there'd be a family gathering, they or their kids would have some sort of new intolerance or allergy. And they kept on bringing like more and more of their own food, And I'm like, this is kind of this thing. Because I remember thinking like, well, I don't have, I don't have and not that there can't be, allergies and intolerances, but just been like this whole thing. And I'm like, there's almost like, you have these families where maybe you have a couple of people that start getting on the gender train, and before you know, it's just kind of like, your family gatherings become more and more like there's more tofurkey and the fake, gluten-free, this, that, and the other, and everything
doesn't need any mold, so don't bring cheese, right? Yeah.
And not, I just remember thinking like that, like. I don't know if they're still like that. And, these people, like I'm not related to them. I also remember that because my dad had, he's, 3 sisters and 2 brothers. So it was a large family on that side.
Yeah.
And everyone else had a kind of I guess like probably the upbringing that you and I had, so not a lot of, let's talk everything out ad nauseum. Kids come out as kids shouldn't be oppressed by their parents' arbitrary rules, and got to talk out. I mean, these kids were nightmares for a while as well. But anyway, and then of course one of the aunts or uncles or my grandma would say something to the kids, and then their parent would get all, that's so aggressive, and I'm like, well, they're like chewing on the coffee table, but whatever. So sorry, having flashbacks. But it's just I don't know, at certain point tolerance, or just kind of like, okay, well, or you think, oh, this will pass, becomes all of a sudden demanding Dr. Genderstein sex lobotomies for minors and calling it healthcare and a human rights issue and all this stuff, and you're like, what? And you think to yourself, what if only a few people, and you brought this up before, what if only a few well-placed people just said, yeah, no, we're not going to sign on to this extent.
No, you know what? This isn't an issue for me, but if it were an issue and I went to my kid's school with like I'm non-binary, some kind of really dorky they them t-shirt, that would, I think that would just take care of the whole thing.
Yeah, we should also be like they them.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I think, we talked about this before. Again, it's only anecdotal. I just have my kids and their friend groups to go by, and this seems to be dwindling, at least in my neck of the woods. So who knows? Of course, it could be resurgent. Could be resurgent. Who knows what they'll come at us with next? But again,
no kidding,
and I don't want to get too. Well, I want to stay with this group, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and they ran 2 ladies for president this time. And I have some leftist intellectuals like Jody Dean, who I just love, but this party loves Andrea Long Chu. They support her. It's a him. and they, they just love that article that came out a couple years ago about how basically it's ridiculous to frame gender as a condition, and that you should be able to have all these medical treatments like on demand. There should be no screening of this. And they're just like, yeah. And so I can only think of when certain people who aren't idiots, who are really smart, I just assume, I always think now, do they have like some kid who's gone trans? Is this why they can't let it go? I mean,
Right.
they're the party of socialism and liberation, and they'll foreground this dude. This AGP, female is what gets fucked and wants to be fucked. This guy. They love him.
He's such a dirty
they
pig.
can't get enough of this lady. Still, to this day.
There must be something to believing 6 impossible things before breakfast. Like if
PSL
all of
Party
your friends are
Socialism
doing
and
it.
Liberation is against ladies. Like is very upset about this. This is terrible because the trans.
That's a travesty.
They'll want to say that this poor minority, citizen minority, is being put upon. And what they do, and this is a rhetorical trick, they focus on the quote unquote trans people rather than the rest of us. Like, okay, well, women are 50% of the population and men are the other 50%. We're all male or female. And if you start pretending,
They all do that.
If you start pretending that up is down and left is right, and all the institutions try to gaslight us for whatever reason, that's a problem. That's not just about the 1% of the people who they say are trans, which is also no. There's male and female, and as Jennifer Billick says, the rest is marketing. And then you add on, there's male and female, the rest is marketing, porn, and cult. That's it.
It's just insane.
Maybe a mental illness symptom if you really believe you're a different sex. Really believe it.
Yeah. You might be
that's of course a mental issue.
You might be laboring under some mental delusions for sure.
But no, so this is bad. Remember that this is what they want you to believe. This is bad. This is fascism. This is,
all those unintentional females.
Yeah. But Democratic Socialists of America, they're, trans kids and drag queens and this and that and the other. And again, hey, I have no issue with the drag queen when it's like, adult, it's like it's at the, the club and the entertainment thing, but in schools and drag queen story hour and taking
why
the
don't
third grade to
people?
And having them give money to the lady man. No, sorry. But they would be like, hello, that's freedom.
It's
that's
so inappropriate.
Yeah. And these people, these women-led party celebrate this guy.
Well, they put these compradoras in the position of power just because, then it's like Ursula von der Leyen, right? There's a woman there, so you can't criticize us because look at that's a woman. She's not one of the best kind of women, but she's one of the accidental women. I
mean, she's as far as we know, she's an unintentional woman. Just
right.
fertilized that way.
Lucky her.
And anybody who's in the turf circle knows Andrea Long-Chu because this guy's quotes you get a lot of bang for the buck if you.
He won some award, right? Like, isn't he?
Oh yeah, Pulitzer Prize. Oh yeah, no, he's been given the accolades. And I don't want to get. I mean, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll make myself read this book. I have a feeling what kind of trickery he's up to, but that's a story for another time. The difference between empirical and metaphorical talk. Psychic structures and biology, and the idea that the unreal or the imaginary should somehow take precedence over the real is some batshit crazy stuff. But that's another story. But just so people know, so they're for this guy, and he writes books like the females a concern. Oh, you can only imagine what a great book this is. I'm sure that after you read, if you do subject yourself to that and try to find a bootleg copy, don't give this person money. That I'm sure it'll be quite clear why the Party of Socialism and Liberation thinks that this chick is, you gotta circle the wagons. He's their egg, gotta protect the egg.
No kidding. Well, if they're funded by the porn industry, and they might well be, right? Because God knows they've infiltrated everywhere.
Yeah.
Then Andrea Long Chu is exactly, his egg is right. That's the little golden chick they want to hatch.
I know that you love him.
Yeah,
We love to hate him. Yeah. He's good at proving a point. But even then, the people who are tried and true or suffering from the gambler's fallacy will try to, they don't want to deal with this. But this is what Verso Publishers says about Andrea Long Chu's book. Can you see this? Do you want to read this out? Go ahead.
Yeah. Everyone is female and everyone hates it. So that sounds like, I forgot the name for that term, but when it sounds like it's truthy, but it's not.
Yeah.
So begins Andrea Long Chu's genre-defying investigation into sex and lies, desperate artists and reckless politics, the smothering embrace of gender, and the punishing force of desire. Drawing inspiration from a forgotten play by Valerie Solanas, She Would Hate Him, the woman who wrote the Scum Manifesto and shot Andy Warhol, Chu aims his searing wit and surgical intuition at targets ranging from performance art to psychoanalysis, incels to porn. I wonder how he knows that. And even feminists like herself. Okay, I said it, but I feel like I've died a little bit.
It's all right. Yeah. Himself. Yeah.
Feminists like himself.
He misgender on Morbid Symptoms, so trigger warning.
I can't even keep up the joke with this bullshit. Sorry, I don't mean to be vulgar. Each step of the way, she defends the indefensible claim that femaleness is less a biological state of women and more a fatal existential condition that affects the entire human race, men, women, and everyone else. Or maybe she's just projecting. Oh my God. A thrilling new voice who has been credited with launching the second wave of trans studies. Chu shows readers how to write for your life. That's bad grammar. Bearing herself with a morbid sense of humor and a mordant kind of hope. Ugh.
I mean, can you imagine? Because that's what we really need in a second wave of trans studies. And so this is a quote from the beginning of the book, I think. I am female, and you, dear reader, you are female, even especially if you're not a woman. Welcome, sorry. Well, this is some Shakespeare stuff, let me tell you. This is Move Over, Simone de Beauvoir.
Sorry,
Andrea AGP Chu is on it.
No kidding.
Oh, it's so transgressive. It just gives me such a rush.
Yeah. This is what happens if your brain is twisted by pornography. This is what you think.
I mean, who knows? Oh, and then the table of contents. I'm only going to read out some of this. I don't know what bongi is, and I probably
let's not investigate. It's probably nasty.
I'm so female. I'm subversive. Bongi. Eventually, the expression "female of the species," it'll be a redundancy. Yeah, right. Russell. I don't know who Russell is. One of my more interesting points is I'm very bitter. Bongi, you're wrong. I'm not a watcher. It must be a back and forth. You're wrong. I'm not a watcher. I'm a woman of action. Ginger, she has penis envy. She should see an analyst. Bongi, hello, gorgeous. Miss Collins. Let's see. She is without a doubt the most garish, tasteless faggot I've ever run across. Okay. Her words, his words, whatever.
Yeah.
Russell, you're not too bad looking, or at least you wouldn't be if you put a skirt on and look like a woman. Ginger, everybody knows that men have much more respect for women who are good at lapping up shit. There you go. Empowered already. So, Russell, you don't know what a female is. You desexed monstrosity. Miss Collins, I face reality, and our reality is that we're men. Bongi, why are girls called chicks? After all, men have the peckers. Oh, she's clever. He's clever. Bongi, come and get it. Bongi, I star in movies. I star in movies for stag parties, but I've got professional integrity. I only work for the top directors. Oh, Alvin, whoever that is. I guess it's just the romantic in me. Bongi, downright perverse. These are chapter headings, by the way. Arthur, fuck is in. This must be good.
Whoa.
Arthur, fuck is in the air. Yikes. It's overpowering. It carries you away with it. Sucks you right up. Hello. Bongi, let the guys ram each other in the ass and leave the women alone. Ginger, let your
There,
soul
he's finally said something sensible.
let your soul sway gently into the void. Arthur, I'm terrible, aren't I? So this is a fantastic book. I can even tell. And you know, and I'm now clear on why the PSL, again, the party led by women at the moment, until Andrea Lloyd Chu takes over. I'm surprised they didn't run a quote unquote transidentified man, lady man, male woman.
Yeah.
That, you know, why that Long Chu would be so important to them. Anyway.
You know, the mind boggles. Who could possibly? It has to do with prostitution and porn, because we know that that's a really big lobby, right? They're even going after. They're even going after the portfolio for women's violence against women. The UN Special Rapporteur for Violence Against Women. They want to change it to the Special Rapporteur for Gender-Based Violence, and they've done that in every country. And then they do things like, you know, send troons to the Montreal massacre to talk about how it was really troons who. Here I'm going to go on one of my rants. Sorry about that.
So just for the update, people, for the PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, is all you know, with her wink, and females are concerned. You saw what female means to Andrea Long Chu, and we get a lot of insights into his libidinal economy, let's say. So that's good, and that's right, and that's left, and that's progressive. It's about liberation and socialism and all this stuff. This is the path to you know, a better tomorrow. But this is bad.
Yeah, that
Bad man save women's sports. Bad man.
Yeah, no kidding.
Threat.
Evil girls, right? And all those bloodthirsty girls.
In this particular issue, I'm not saying he's a pacifist, you know, whatever, but in terms of the sex gender thing. Yeah, so before we move on to other things, anything you want to say about any of that, Tanya?
It's flabbergasting, isn't it? I mean, I don't even know what to say. How anybody could... How anyone could be so precious. I mean, and I'm not thinking about the stupid PSL and their compradoras. I'm thinking about like all the nice, normal women who really want our sex-based rights, but they're just so upset that the bad rapist man, you know, as if Biden wasn't, you know what I mean? I don't want to get into it. You know, I feel bad for them. I mean, I really do. I really do.
But we have the players in the game that we have. You know,
that's right.
If we were to wait, I mean, how terrible is that? It's like, yeah, this is great, but it can't be coming from him. So let's just wait, and maybe in 4 years or 10 years or 8 years, the Democrats get it together, or
they'll still do the same thing.
You know, yeah,
they have lots of opportunity to not do this.
Yeah, and the Greens, official Green policy is just as batshit crazy as the PSL.
Totally.
So look at their gender page. You know, they're also totally GenderBorged or bot or whatever. It's crazy.
I didn't translate myself. I used Google Translate. I just translated this anthem for the Women's March in Tokyo, the Women's March. It's a great song. And, you know, women in Japan are like women in the 1970s. Like, it's not really, they need to catch up. It's a different kind of thing. And the song is great. They're like, yeah, we're going to fight this. We're going to stop violence against, we're going to do, and then they go on and we're going to be nice to troons. Right. And it's shocking to me that like, let's not be mean to troons. It's shocking to me that, can you imagine? I'm picturing all these women singing along, looking at their thing. And then what? There's a hum, there's a lull in the singing, where all the Japanese women are going, I don't think so. Because, you know, everybody knows what a man in a dress is on about, unless you're totally pressured by your friend group or your job
Mhm.
Everybody knows what that's about. Like, it's not a
Mhm.
secret. You see them on the train, they're like all dirty and like, and wearing their
Yeah.
stuffed bras, and they're, I'm a dirty porn secretary, and they're nasty. They're nasty. Every time I see one of those lolly costumes,
Mhm.
like the little Bo Peeps, I know that's a man. I've
Yeah.
followed some into. Well, I'm not going to get into that.
Well, and they have this. I could see, and what's amazing, even with Jody, with the PSL as an example, because I could see if all you had was just the discourse, and so just abstract, and you could buy, oh, it's so, how terrible that would be to feel like you're in the wrong body, and they could buy it, and when it's just abstract. Then once you start seeing it, either directly or you hear about things that are happening in women's prisons, in the bathroom, in the changing room, you start seeing these weird things that if you call a guy who feels like a woman, you could get in trouble at work, and and all this stuff, and women being monstered if they have an issue with having to pretend that Leah Thomas is a man or whatever it is. And you're like, what? And then and you think, okay, well, that will figure it, and they'll realize that just biting this off whole and pretending that it's just exactly the same thing, it's just an extension of gay rights. You're like, okay, come on. But then when you see the PSL, they've read Andrea Longchu's work.
Oh, sure.
It's
sure
not, I mean, it's quite clear what that is, but yet they're all like, for some reason, so we can't, so maybe they're, it speaks to them in some level. I don't know what that's about. I don't know how they associate that with liberation.
Yeah.
It's
No, I don't
Marquis Sade on steroids. If it feels good, you shouldn't say no to me. How dare you deny me access to the woman, whatever. I mean, it's crazy, but yet still there they are. Jody Dean, who
we're all better off.
I've actually
We're
met
all
her a
better
couple
off.
times.
Yeah.
90% of everything she's ever said or written, I'm like, that's awesome. But yet she's totally GenderBorged.
It's hard to understand.
Like, okay.
It's really, it feels worse. It feels worse coming from people like that, right? Like Jody Dean, right? Because, what the hell is up with her? But you know what? I'd rather have like the bad orange man, because at least we're on our guard with him. He's not some kind of pious hypocrite going, we really support women, like Andrea Longchu, right? We're actually better off. We're actually better off on our guard with the bad orange man who does good things for women sometimes when he's not
for whatever reason.
Yeah. For whatever reason, we're actually better off with him than with the nasty virtue signalers who, try to gaslight us into misunderstanding the fucking evidence. Sorry, the evidence of our lives.
Yeah. Don't believe your lying eyes.
Exactly. Like,
okay. And I would be remiss if we didn't have a chance to circle back to this loveliness.
You know what? After seeing I Man, I don't know how you pronounce that but I read it as I Man because he's a man. After seeing I Man, at least he's not all like, at least he's not all corpulent and disgusting like Long Chu, right? Like, you got to give him that. It's the first time I've thought that. Like,
well, here's the thing: he doesn't say he's trans. His thing is that, and who knows? What's quite clear now is that, or people have been put together, is that he was born with one of these intersex conditions. That one of the symptoms is a micro penis. So he had a very small penis. And so wherever he was born, they probably did. It's like, well, they probably thought, well, they probably did raise him as a a girl. He probably was treated as a girl until it became clear that there was other things going on there. And how his family and his how that was dealt with, I don't know. Because he went through puberty. He went through male puberty quite clearly. He doesn't say he's a trans woman. He says he was saying that,
but he could be the same difference.
However, who knows what's going on there? We know why. We know the incentive for coaches to try to pass off men as women because they're going to win more likely. Yeah.
Totally.
So there's a thing there. So who knows? I don't know. And if that's what happened, I don't know what that, if he had not taken it as far as he did and got into boxing rings with women, I could have some sympathy for him, because that would be a mind, thing. If you're being if you're given a girl's name and you're being treated a girl, and all of a sudden, you know, like when they talk about the guy who those kids that John Money did that crazy stuff to. You know?
The
You know, and I don't know what's going on, but the fact that for quite a while now, he knew something was up. And it's quite clear that those around him are not treating him like they treat other women.
No.
In that sport, in that country, in that culture. So
I'll tell you what. You know. So I know a young woman who was in the locker room of the Olympics in Paris, in the girls' locker room, because she was an athlete. And he came in, and she said that everyone there was like, you know, they all knew what they were looking at. I don't know what they're supposed to say, but you know, like, okay,
and I'm sure that none of these fantastic publications like The Nation or Emma Vigeland from Minority Report or Majority Report or Crystal Ball or any of those other fantastic, you know, virtue signaling, luxury belief transmaids and Wokebros. Nobody has walked this back, because not only has their sound and fury gone nowhere about who they were gonna sue and all this stuff. The International Boxing Association is going to take the ICC, the IOC to court, and it's quite, except for the only thing that hasn't happened is he hasn't come out and admitted that I'm male.
No,
but all the stuff that's coming out, it's quite, they've been able to piece together.
Right.
Obviously, because he has the Y chromosome, you can see he's male. It's gone through male puberty and all that. And if pieced together, most likely is he was born with one of these sexual development issues that, among other things, meant that he had probably micro penis, and maybe his testicles were completely had not like
doesn't matter. He's a man.
Or partial. And so, you know, but dude, you know, and yet these people don't have to say anything yet. This person, transphobia doesn't just harm trans people, even though Iman never identified as trans.
He could have. He could have said,
"I would have been better for him, probably."
I'm a trans lady, and then he would have walked in there and done the exact same thing, and there wouldn't be this big fight about it. But he didn't. He had to. And the thing is there's no doubt, because he tried to have some ruling assessed by some sports court of arbitration. Now I'm getting all the terms wrong, but there's a court of arbitration, and anybody can, access it. And he tried to access it, but then he pulled out before they came up with a ruling, because if they had come up with a ruling, then they would have publicized his actual condition, and then he might well have
reports.
So the fact that he initiated the process, but then got some kind of advice about how he could still compete, so don't worry, you can still beat up women. He did this on purpose, and this is all just a big gong show. All he needs is a cheek swab, It's not which is
the reason why the International Boxing Association would not let him compete against women, is because people were complaining like this, because if you're a woman knows if she's boxing against a woman or not.
Don't you know that? They're Putler. We can't trust them at all. They're ideologically captured. That's what people were saying.
Men don't punch harder than women. Okay.
Like, no. That's Putin's boxing association.
Yeah, that's a Putin thing. Putin is anyway. But these people, transphobia doesn't just harm trans people. He never said he was trans. It hurts cisgender people, totally made up term, who don't conform. But here's what I love: who don't conform to a narrow Eurocentric vision of womanhood.
That's so pathetic.
What, AKA that women are female. That is what this bitch is talking about. And it was a woman who wrote this, so I can use that word, bitch. Anyway.
Yeah, you can always use it with me. I like.
It's like.
But where's that meme, like 0 days since someone equated men with women from a different race or something? Yeah. Like, come on, that's
what about black women? Would you let them compete? Well, they're women, you dipshits. What? And that they don't even pick up on the fact of how crazy that is.
No.
It's
They
like,
don't. They would do
uh,
anything to protect the men. They would do anything to protect the men. They're the worst pick-me's. My kid would say, "These mom, these are pick-me's," and she's right. They're the worst pick-me's in the world. Like me.
and so
Cisgender.
also we're supposed to be like, Andrea Long Chu is great, and the PSL cares about women, and the DSA, they're righteous, but Nancy Mace is a devil woman. And I'm gonna say I'm saying like this might be the only, I don't know, maybe there's probably this policy and a couple others that I'm on the same page with her about. But yeah, I realize how she's a war hawk. She's terrible on Israel Palestine. I get that, but on this issue, she's 100%. And so they keep on handing the Republicans these layups. So this was from yesterday, I think. My name is Nancy, and I'm a woman, not a pregnancy person, not a pregnant person, not a chest feeder, not a birthing person, not a person who bleeds, not an inseminated person. A woman is not that difficult. And if people think this is hyperbole, this is how this is the gender speak. That you get certain people in institutions, and that for some reason they decide it's their job to make sure that a person who thinks they're the opposite sex or who really wants to pretend they are never sees a phrase that upsets them in any way.
Anyone who thinks this is a hyperbole has obviously never been to any sort of medical services, or because that's exactly how they all talk. Like there's nothing. It's not a hyperbole. There's nothing There's nothing hyperbolic.
You have guys going in for the prostate exam, being asked if they're male or female.
It's ridiculous.
And the people asking it know it's bullshit. And the people answering it are like, what? I'm pretty sure since I'm here with a prostate and to get it examined, that I'm not a lady.
I'm kidding.
We don't want to assume.
It's insulting. Yeah. Such a
oh my god.
Oh my god.
And yeah. Anyway. And just some other things before we get, okay, so it's 12 o'clock, so it's 9 o'clock your time. Okay, we're okay. I don't want to keep you up too late. Just some, I do want to get to the NHS cray, but before we get into that, here's just some things that it's not just the guys, unfortunately. Here's two men, two lesbians saying they're in a gay male relationship. I love my trans boyfriend. I love trans people. So these are two women who have apparently gone in for the full gender kit. I don't know if they got the fake. I don't know if they got the weird, skin penis, but their boobs are gone. Clearly, they've been on testosterone. And these are two. This is a gay couple. This is a gay male couple. And if you have an issue with that, you're a bad person. Yeah. Don't join the PSL with that bigotry.
Right.
Don't bring that hate to the DSA or the Democratic Party.
No kidding.
So anything about this?
Well, I hope they feel free. I hope they feel free. Like it's my deep belief that men move to the opposite, to mimicking the opposite sex because they're getting more into their porn, and I think that women do the same to get away from the porn and the porn culture. So I mean, I hope these women they feel free.
Yeah, but I think that's very convenient for you.
Able to express their love.
I think that's very convenient. I think that in general,
what now?
Convenient. I think in general that's true. Yeah. But you do also have these ladies who want to, hang out with the gay guys and touch the gay penis in a friendly way, in a safe way, safe.
I know.
And then you have the lady who goes around where you have that T-shirt that says 3-hole faggot. So the idea that only men are sexually motivated is an interesting point. And now I would say that I'm not saying that in general that's not the case, but but then again, who knows? I'm just. It's hard to know. All we have is what they say and what they present online. What they actually do, who knows? I mean, except for the guys tend to be more vocal, share more. So we don't have to guess much about what's going on there. But with these ladies, I mean, who knows?
Well, I mean, I didn't come at this empty-handed. I have read Sheila Jeffries, and
she's not
whether we like her or not. No. But she has a really good analysis of this. And you
Yeah.
know what? I realized that when I say Sheila Jeffries, every single person who can hear me gets upset. Okay. You might get upset. My lesbian friend might get upset.
I'm not getting
you know,
upset. I'm just saying that she's
every
not
single person.
Lord
No, I
God
know,
on
I
the
know.
table on the mountain. That's all I'm
No,
saying.
but her analysis is really
Yeah.
is really sharp, and she knows a lot of the history of how this all came to be, like why these and for example, even Joey Bright might have to be able to tell you. I remember listening to her. She would talk on her podcast about how they used to push testosterone outside the clubs to these women. It's
But they didn't
it's
have
a
to take
culture
it.
that I'm not
They're
familiar with.
adults, yeah.
It's a culture that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. No,
Sort of.
all I'm saying is, and I'm familiar with Sheila Jeffries, and I would never say that she's not an important person to read. And there's
Right.
all I'm saying is that we tend to have this thing where a very binary thing about, well, it's all sexual and porn, and
Yeah.
this for the men, and for the women, it's just they're responding to the evil of patriarchy. And I just find that a bit convenient. Not that there couldn't be, obviously, you look at particular cases, who knows, there could be a whatever. I'm just saying that as a hypothesis, that's quite, yeah.
Well, what else could
convenient.
it be, Tara, though? I mean, I don't want to derail you, but what else could it be? Like, why else would these women
They get
want to
off
do
on it.
this?
You think only guys are sexual? You think only guys have interesting sexualities? Maybe they get
Well,
off on it. They have the strap-ons and they get off doing that, pretending they're gay men. It's totally possible. I mean, look at them. I love my trans boyfriend. I love trans people. Should we say they're victims of the patriarchy? I mean, you can. I just find that a bit.
I would, yeah.
I just find that a bit funny, but that's
I
a story
think
for
I
another
have to
time.
do more work imagining that they enjoy sex with strap-ons. You don't want to go. I don't want to make your
The reason
child.
why do lesbians use strap-ons? Because it feels good. Penetration feels good.
Yeah. Like, I'm not ignoring you.
I don't know. That's another thing. Why do you have lesbians who love women who look like men, who go out of their way to look like men?
That's a Sheila Jeffries thing again, and I'm not saying she's
And
God.
again, strap-ons. There's a lot of sex toys for lesbians, and it's
Right.
not all external. But again, I'm not a lesbian, and I don't know. I'm just saying, I think that when you get into sexuality, like literal, like that type of thing, that is something that you can't always have a cultural or social explanation for entirely.
So these women want to put themselves in men's spaces where they're more at risk from male violence, right? Like if they need to go to a shelter, they go to the men's shelter. If they go to some kind of gay sex party, they're putting themselves at risk. So if it's a sexual drive doing it, yeah, maybe the testosterone has made them into sex monsters. It's possible, right? That is definitely.
Well, I wouldn't want to say the word monster. All I want to say is that this idea that I just would have to say, like, we don't know enough, but I would be skeptical of painting it the poor women who get they're all just especially when it's adults doing this. Especially if you don't have some sort of thing in the background, we could be like, okay, this could be a trauma response, could be a variety of things. Again, I don't know these people, but the fact that we assume
we'll agree to disagree.
Sexual deviancy with men, and we assume that it's never that case with women, is very Puritan. It's very WASP.
Yeah, well, I'm not a WASP or a Puritan, although I do like to think of myself as pretty damn.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand this. I mean, I don't understand it. But if we just take them at their word, it's kind of like. But I think that I also do this too. That there's this inclination, and like there has to be something else going on here. It just can't be that. Like there has to be some sort of, and it could be that in some situations as a trauma, there could be a variety of other things. But sometimes it could just be that, this is what floats their boat.
Well, yeah, for sure it floats their boat until it doesn't, right? Until they're peeing out of 4 places because they've.
Yeah, hopefully they don't get. I always want to say, I really hope they don't get the full packet because men or women don't get the full packet. But here we have. I found another one. There was another crazy lady. I shouldn't say crazy lady, but it seems crazy. Let's see if I can find her.
We've said worse today.
I've said worse things. Yeah. let's see. Where is she? Where is she? Did I not? I hope I got this on here. Oh, did I not? Oh, yeah. This is also a good one.
What?
This is from,
Oh,
so this is from Ariel Scrilla.
Ariel.
This is some pride thing. I don't know if it was Florida. And so here's this woman, and she says, "I'm a femme presenting trans gay man."
Oh, is she trolling? Come on. That's
Well,
hilarious.
I don't know. The thing, it seemed to be like maybe, but I think that this is the kind of thing, and this is where, that you can see where this would be fun. I mean, maybe not so fun for the gay men, and not fun for us ladies when the other people are doing it, but just kind of trying these things off, like, oh, that pride parade looks fun, I'm queer, I want to participate, and oh well, if you have this whole, like the thing you talked about before, that umbrella, that penumbra of gender identities, and and they tell you, right, the German law, they can change, you should explore, try it on, don't be oppressed by the binary.
German law is crazier than this lady.
So it's like, she's just, okay, well, maybe at this maybe this is like, like if someone asks you who you are or who you're wearing, like if you're going to a fancy thing and someone's asking a celebrity who you're wearing, maybe that's what they do now at these pride things. Like, what are you presenting as here today?
That's right.
Well, I'm presenting as this trans gay man, femme presenting. And she's going on and on. And if only, I mean, this is funny, but then you see the other side of it,
right,
with men invading women's spaces and us having to pretend that up is down, and this weird, gender crap in schools, and
it's
people getting body parts taken off, and you're like, okay, then it's not so funny anymore.
No. It's ridiculous. It's shocking. I mean, if I want to get all grandmotherly on it, to think that this young woman can say such things in the state of the world today, that she would say such a ludicrous thing in this, as if she doesn't live in this society, as if there's nothing else going on. I mean, it shows how end of empires-y we all are. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
So
no,
that's grandmotherly.
No, the interregnum, the kind of the degeneracy, and I use that broadly, whether it be politics or sexual politics or all kinds of stuff. Because again, it's the question. You can have the individual case, but then you have to be like, well, why did this take off like it did? Why do so many people latch on to this? Clearly she's having a good time, that woman, and she didn't go on her own. So woo,
right? Just wait till someone misgenders her, though, or invalidates her.
What you would call that?
Then she's going to do a video of crying. No, I don't know how you invalidate her. Maybe she's a genius. She's doing like 5D chess.
Yeah. It's like she's still she's a femme presenting, so she's not denying that, but
gay man.
Who knows? And I think some of this, and this is, again, I don't know, but I would love to be able to study this, or maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. But sometimes I think about, and maybe you had this, I don't know. Because I can look back. This is a personal story. I'm not going to name any names. But when I was going to university, so back in Southern Oregon University, in the age myself here, 1996 to 2000, Ashland, Oregon was gay central. Yeah, there's the Shakespeare Festival was there 9 months out of the year. And it was, everywhere around it was not, but there had a lot of gay, LGB there, and a lot of Wiccans too. Anyway, so
Oregon is like paradise, right? Everybody wants to go. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
So I had, I worked, so for 2 years when I was there, I lived with 2 gay guys who worked at the same restaurant I did. They were bartenders at the same restaurant I was at, and we had, we lived in like nighttime central. So we were like in between of all the places where people would have to walk after the bars closed. Yeah, it was also a college town. So it was the university, and there was the Shakespeare Festival. So our place, and then there was also a big backyard that we shared with 3 other houses, and all these also these people were mostly, I think most of them were gay, and also worked bartender, late night, or they worked for the Shakespeare Festival. And after the shows got over, then they would go to their favorite bar and hang out. And then everyone would come to our place or that backyard if it wasn't cold, you know.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, party. And sometimes I had to, you know, I had school. So I had a big fan in my window to make the white noise, and they'd be out in the back, Tara. I'm like, ah. Anyway, so drank a lot, partied a lot, had like I was down in the gay culture, yo. And I remember thinking a couple of times, like, it's too bad so and so isn't straight, because they just had such a fantastic connection with my gay padres.
Right.
Now, of course, the worst thing that would have happened is if they had reacted to that, because it would have destroyed the fantasy and probably our friendship. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it never occurred to me that, oh, I could just identify as a
Right. No, because you
But
have
I
a brain.
wonder, and I'm saying all this, sorry, because I wonder if there's like this gay boyfriend fantasy that some girls have.
You know what? In Japan, they
I
have
wonder.
a whole, they have a whole thing.
Subconsciously, maybe.
They have a whole like section in the comic book section in the bookstore for like, for gay comic book romances for girls.
Oh, okay, see, so I'm
And
not
they
just
are different to the kind of gay comic books that are for men, because they are very sexually non-threatening. Right? Like the boys
They're
boys
for
are
girls
very
who want to,
good.
girls who fantasize about their gay friend becoming interested just in them, though. Still gay, still totally gay, I'm assuming, but interested in them in that way.
I don't even
Which,
know
if you think about it, you know, kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of
But
does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a strange thing. I think it's because they've sort of, they don't represent, they're an idealized kind of gay men. You know, these aren't gay men who are, you know, having fun partying and doing drugs and like having sex parties for a lot. Like, that's not what they're doing in these comic books, right? They're like,
no, they're the, you know, and who doesn't? I remember going out with my gay friends, and, you know, well, some of them, of course, there was a mix. There's like the stereotypical, like, you know, and then there was the ones you wouldn't really know they were gay unless, you know, it was more hard to figure out. And also the very much, you know, with very, you know, and these guys, and all of them to a letter, though, all like the same type of guy, hyper masculine, fit, clean, you know, well, you know, they also like the D. All of that didn't matter what they looked like. That was who they liked. And of course, there's only so many of them. So they always had everybody. But, you know, going on and having a good time, like, oh, you know, God, they would fawn over you. Oh, and I was karaoke, and they'd be like, oh, wear this, wear that. And I'm going out to Medford with them as like being a fag hag. So the rednecks will beat them up. And they just oh God, I loved it.
Yeah.
And none of the other stuff, because I knew, obviously, there was none like, oh, does he like me? Does she like? And none of that. It was like, you knew what it was.
Right.
So fun. If you could have that and good sex, oh my God. Of course you can't, because that isn't how it works. So I can see wanting to tap into that dating pool, and then being really freaked out when they realize how, again, this is a stereotype. Stereotypes are based on something. It's known, well established, that nobody has more sex than gay men. Gay men have the most sex. And then it's heterosexual couples, and the people that have the least sex over time are lesbians. That's just based on the data, people. I don't know. And we hear this stuff. And so when they're thinking that they're going to be trans men and they're gay, so they're women who are, you know what I mean? So they're women who want to be gay men. And then they go and they think they're going to have this fantastic gay romance with their best friend type of thing. And then you get into this kind of, you know, when it's just, well, you know, a lot of the sex is not, I'm guessing I'm assuming it's probably a bit of a shock.
No, really.
They realize,
I'm sure.
And again, I'm stereotyping here based on what a few of the people I know who are gay men have told me about when their interactions, when some of these poor trans women or trans men find themselves at these kind of after hours parties, or when they're get-togethers that are just about doing it.
Right.
How traumatic that is for them.
That's right. I read a Reddit. It was circulating a while ago, kind of a long saga of some girl who thought, you know, that she was gonna make it to the back room where they did the sexy time, but they left her out. She was at a party. They were super great with her. They called her he, him all night. They totally validated her gender. But then when it came time for the back room, no, she was left out. And so she wrote a big long Reddit, and that got circulated everywhere. And
they did her a favor.
Yeah. It's exactly what you're saying. And she was just so clued out. She's like, what the heck is going on? You know, why?
Well, you can imagine, because
mental.
then it's still the mystery. Like, what? There's still that thing there that you really think you want, but they're denying it from you. You know,
Yeah.
it would have probably been better if they had let her like be there, but not let her like actually participate. But that's kind of not that they should have to do that. I mean, then they have some weird, you know, people watching who aren't, you know, part of the team. But I mean, it's just hard to, but I think that there, so again, when we were talking about is that, and what we don't know, because there's been such a blackout on actually studying and talking about this openly, that who knows the stories behind different people, you know, just, you know, getting to where those two women were in that photo, or the young woman with the 3-hole faggot t-shirt, or the woman you were talking about, or the lady, or the young women who are fantasize about, who are the target for that kind of comic books that you talked about. Like, who knows? You know,
no, it's true. We don't know. Everybody has their own story, and there's some commonalities, and there's some specifics.
Yeah. And there will be things that, you know, there's going to be there'd be like probably like a lot of concentration. They're going to have outlier cases on both sides. But yeah, I mean, that's how I think about it, because I can think back to how I had such a great time with my gay friends, especially my gay men friends, who just, of course, they idolized me. I mean, they never wanted, I never turned anyone, God, you know, that was never going to happen. But, you know, who wouldn't want to be like, oh, if we could have that plus, you know, if I could have my gay friend, you know, if he could be, you know, gay in the streets, but, you know, straight in the sheets. How, you know, at least in your mind, you would think that would be great. But I never, you know, I realized it was always fleeting. You know, it was always late at night when if I wasn't seeing anybody, and, you know, it's like 3 a.m. and you've been drinking and dancing, and you're dancing with your gay friends, and you just kind of think like, oh, you know, and then you hug a bit too much, and you get it, and they don't have to tell you anything. You just get that feel like, oh, sorry, man, you know. Forgot.
Well, this has been a nice insight into your life, and you know, characters sort of shaping friendships. I had some gay friends too, but I don't think my experiences were quite the same. But you know, I feel like I can relate to. I feel like I can relate to.
Well, it was also a lot of party time. Yeah, because it was also the everybody where I know I was a college student, and there were some college people there, but it was mainly, you know, these were guys who either worked at the Shakespeare Festival or worked, because everything in that town mainly was catered towards that. So there's a lot of bars and restaurants and discos and whatnot. So it was like, you know, after hours, everybody showed up where I lived when I was roommates with these two guys. So that, you know, isn't a typical. And I don't know how I managed to get good grades. Maybe it was crappy school, but somehow I managed with my nightlife and waitressing work.
You were young; you could do it all, right? You could party and also do your academic stuff because you were young. You didn't have kind of you have dementia because you were on testosterone. Yeah,
that's true. So better liver problems than no. So far, no. Anyway. Okay, so we have to wait. Okay, no, we have a bit of time. It's 9:30 for you, yeah? 9:20. Okay. So let's see.
I don't know.
So no, here, for those of you who don't know, the NHS, which is the National Health Service, and a lot of the unions in the UK have been what we call GenderBorged. And so what you have is, slowly by surely, because again, just like in the States for the longest time, there wasn't a lot of media out on this, and the people who did speak out did not get well received. And so, but surely there's been lawsuits and also employment tribunals for women who they felt they were being harassed or dismissed from work wrongly because they didn't, basically for not wanting to go along with treating men like women, especially when it involved sharing showers and changing rooms and this type of stuff. So apparently, and this makes sense, that you have showers and changing rooms and sleeping quarters, like cots. I guess I just think of Grey's Anatomy, but I'm assuming it wasn't, that's a different, that's a thing, where nurses and doctors and whatnot can, get some sleep or change or whatever, because, you know, they're working in hospitals, and you can imagine why there's a facility that you could have there. So the problem is you have these guys who show up and say, no, I'm trans. And then the NHS decides, oh, well, they're just women. And the women who complain, who say, well, we're not comfortable showering and sharing intimate or private spaces with the quote unquote trans guys. Big surprise. It's the women who are the problem. It's the women who the unions take issue with.
Yeah.
And so there's been several, but there's individual cases. We covered this a while ago when there was a group of 9 nurses, and I can't remember if it was from Durham or it was from someplace, who went and talked to the equivalent of the guy who's the minister for, I don't know if he's the NHS minister, the health minister, or something like that, to wage their complaint. And he seemed to be sympathetic. But there are individual suits going on now. And there's one by Peggie. Peggie?
Right.
Let me see.
I've got such a old brain.
Peggie, her name's Peggie, is the lady whose trial's going on now. And the courtroom transcripts are pretty hilarious, but sad at the same time. But I just have a couple of things on this, because again, Paul Embry wrote that he talked to a senior official of his trade union, and their trade union declared that he would be relaxed about his young daughter sharing a changing room with a man who identified as a woman. This sort of statement would once have piqued the interest of social services, my latest piece.
No kidding.
On how trade unions have a woman problem. So we've seen this time and time again. Every organization who will probably, you could go on their website or their what do you call it, like the manifestos or their whatever it is, and I'm sure that they're all about women this and women that and safeguarding this and safeguarding that. But when it comes to quote unquote trans women, men who identify as women, whatever that means, that's all out the window. Then these hacks get in line.
Then we get to see who's really prioritized here.
Yeah. Will there be unions, universities, political parties, sports associations, everybody, almost to a letter, except for there's some people who have, who stand out, have thrown women and girls under the bus to affirm the guys who decide they, for whatever reason, need to be regarded, not just talked about as women, but allowed into the spaces that women and girls that are set aside for them: showers, changing rooms, sports, this type of thing. Can you imagine? I mean, we know. We don't have to imagine. We know.
I can't imagine it would have happened the other way around.
This is from today. That these trade
genders
union
needs
guys,
to die.
these are still acting like these useful idiots. It's naive, like, oh, no, I wouldn't have a problem with my young girl, sharing a changing room with a man who says he's a woman with his,
The fact that
whether he cut it off or not,
he
shouldn't be there. But yeah, it's crazy.
The fact that trade unions are doing this is really a low blow, right? Like it really shows you what the state of our world is, that trade unions are doing this, right? It's not just the bougie kids who need to, what are you wearing? I'm wearing gay, man, femme, whatever she said, right? It's not just that. It's not just Cynthia Nixon and her 8 million family members who are all troons. It's the trade unions. It's trade unions. They're making sure that no woman complains or she'll lose her job.
No, they show what happens. So here's another one. So this is the General Medical Council. So this might be, so now it can be revealed that the General Medical Council, GMC, which regulates doctors, takes an even more extreme stance on trans medics. So medics who, And when we say trans medics, basically what we mean 90% of the time are guys who want to be treated like they're women. Yeah. Effectively scrubbing the public disciplinary history of doctors who changed their identities in this way. If a doctor had received a historical sanction, i.e., the suspension is no longer in place prior to transitioning, this information would not be available on their new public-facing record on the medical register, says a JMC spokesperson. The GMC confirms that Dr. Upton is one of the 62 doctors to have been given. Dr. Upton, okay, he's the guy in the middle,
Yeah.
and he's the one who wants to shower with all the other ladies. He's an intentional woman. He's a guy who
Yeah.
wants to be a woman, and he wants to shower and change with just the regular old born this way ladies. He's the one that's at the center of this Peggie case. So Dr. Upton, apparently you don't have to know much about biology to be a doctor, which is another thing we've learned, is one of 62 doctors, 62 doctors who've I wonder if that was a factor in why they transitioned. Anyway, who have been given new registration under different GMC numbers, meaning that future patients will be unable to see any details of their doctor's previous identity by searching the GMC's online database using the new medic's new name and number.
Right.
So again, we have told wouldn't happen, happens.
Yeah, no. And it's increasing, right? There's always more of them. There's always there's only 0.2% of the population who are born in the wrong body and they'd have to change, and it's no, there's always more of them. There's always another case. There's always another thing that never happens, right? There's always another Troon father stabbing his child, some man with a penis sling and fake breasts, and this is just news from yesterday. There's always another one happening. It's not going away unless Trump puts it in the coffin and nails the damn lid shut. And if he does,
it travels. Hopefully that travels as well as the gender identity created. But here's the thing: is that, and this is where all the gender speak and the language magic really comes to roost, because if you have the dead naming and the misgendering, so what's the idea here that if you have a doctor who so Dr. Upton, so let's say he was doctoring for 10 years and then decides, I love this phrase. I'm coming out as a lady. I'm a I'm a male woman and I can't hide it anymore.
Right.
Then when if he gets the gender recognition fiat thing from the state, then he gets a new number, like whatever their ID number is, a new name. And if people go to look at that, everything that happened before is just, they would have to know, unless it's totally purged, they would have to know the former name, the number, whatever. Yeah. And it's the same thing. It's like people are like, well, how does this work when you have somebody that's had, wouldn't it be convenient for people, or wouldn't people who don't have whatever this is, the gender feelings or the secret woman inside or whatever that batshit, whatever it is whatever story they have in their mind, but also like, I have some bad stuff in my past. If I transition and say I'm a woman, get a new name and a new social security number and a new passport.
No kidding. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't do that? Right?
But if you ask this, you're a bad person.
No,
because
it's true.
People because anyone who says they're trans becomes a saint, becomes an egg to be protected, becomes somebody that you can never say no to. It's a very odd thing.
Right. No, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I participated in the rape, torture, and murder of a 14-year-old Indigenous girl. And when my lawyer asked if I could go to a medium security prison, the judge laughed me right out of the fucking courtroom and was like, "No way, psychopath, you're going to hell." And I got there and I didn't like it. I didn't like those scary men around me. So I just adopted a female identity.
Persona,
And guess what? I got to move into the women's prison, and they don't have any kind of, women live in houses there. It's not like a jail. They don't have any scary guards. The guards are nice. They're ladies. There's even children there. Because we have mother and baby programs. So
I was a guy.
Much nicer.
Would I want to be in the women's prison or the men's prison?
No kidding.
Now, I'm thinking, especially, I mean, who knows? Not always, but it's just like, hello. And the people, and when you try to explain this to people who are otherwise very intelligent, and I love Katie Halper, I'm going to out her. I love Katie Halper, but she's also GenderBorged. You could talk about this, the cows comes home. She's just going to look at you, but the trans women. I mean, it's crazy.
That is really crazy. But you know what? It's
But,
almost like
but
it's
she would hear all of this because I had a conversation with her a while back, just on accident. Ran into her in yeah, that's another story. And again, I love her on the Israel stuff, but on this issue, batshit crazy, and I don't know why. But she would look at me and be like, "But it is dangerous for trans women to be in the male prisons. It is. It's not, and you just be like, okay, whatever. I'm just done with you on this." It's
Yeah.
okay. It's like, okay, maybe,
It's
but what does
hard
that have to do with women? Not a thing. Anyway, so yeah.
No, right? Of course, male prisons are dangerous. That's why they're in prison. They're dangerous.
It's like, I'm all for prison
It sucks for
reform,
you.
but not for putting the guys in with the ladies. So Nick Dury, who's
No,
great.
right?
He's great on this. Well, he's great on lots of things. So if you're not following Nick Dury, do follow him. So he wrote, GMC says, again, this is about the new doctor thing, not, if you transition,
I
then
can't believe he's not a woman.
yeah. GMC says a declaration of lady brain and transubstantiation grants a tabula rasa. I guess that's only fair enough for being stunning and brave, right? Imagine if Harold Shipman had been born in 1996 and not 1946. And I'm guessing that Harold Shipman must have been a dude who did some very bad things and who would have liked to have kind of pushed that under the rug and become Harriet. I'm not Harold. Harold, that was Harold. And Harold did all that stuff because he was suppressed. He was suppressing Harriet. But now that Harriet's in charge,
human rights.
New chapter.
Human rights.
Oh my God. And yeah, this is Unite the Unions. Okay. Unite Scotland LGBT Committee. It's another union. Can you see this or?
Yep.
Okay,
You want me to read it?
I'd have to squint.
Unite Scotland LGBT Plus Committee. I must say they're very restrained with the acronym. Hey, like why aren't they 2S LGBTQI plus? Anyways, very restrained. A little bit cheap, if you ask me. Unite the Union Scottish LGBT Committee strongly condemns the irresponsible and inappropriate comments made by Scottish Labour leader Anas Sarwar and Deputy Leader Jackie Bailey on the reform of the Gender Recognition Act. The position of Unite has always been one of support for the trans community, and we have strenuously defended that position within the Labour Party. Mr. Sarwar and Miss Bailey do not speak for Unite when they make these statements. Unite believes that the strengthening and protection of the rights of trans people does not mean the rights of others will be diminished or affected. Trans people are a valued part of our society and contribute greatly in our workplaces and communities. We would remind Mr. Sarwar and Ms. Bailey that the Labour Party is a representative of the broader trade union movement, which also supports the rights of trans people. The Gender Recognition Act is still awaiting royal assent in Scotland, and we are disappointed to see that the current Labour government have shown no interest in defending Scottish democracy by instructing the Section 35 order to be overturned. This is still a pressing issue for Unite and the trans community in Scotland, and we will continue to advocate for this long overdue reform.
Well, thank you, Tanya. That was very good.
And all your viewers to turn off.
Yeah. And let's say that, and we should remember now with the gender speak, that we're all male or female, and the rest is marketing, cult, and probably porn and decide. And we're not all culture and social. We're also animal libido and all that kind of stuff. But that everybody's male or female. So this is all subjective language. This is coming up with the term. Yeah. So, and again, this is such batshit crazy. They will not let go of the fact that somehow pretending that they're male women and female women does not cause issues.
They just don't care. They don't care. They don't care.
Or the idea that you can't, woman, like the spaces and the words and the services and the history, that can't just be for females. That's also for us male women, you bitches. It's crazy.
No, women are supposed to be accommodating and understanding. So what the hell? Like, can we get to it, please?
Again, this was from yesterday or the day before. So, okay. So Nick Dury again wrote a disgusting. This is in response to that little thingy before. A disgusting statement from my union. I think it was in terms of this one, right? But yeah, a declaration of lady brain might lead to transubstantiation for the faithful, but we don't live in a theocracy, and the rest of us do not consent to abusive men ritually humiliating and perving on women. It's that simple.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Nick.
Nice, Nick.
Nick, you are our top unicorn this week, my friend. Alex, you better bump up your game.
Yeah. You should have a little graphic going ding dong and a little prize. Yeah, with him coming out.
And this is not new. This is he and his family and some other people who have paid the price for standing their ground on this, have been pushed out of,
I believe it.
Really fantastic, of organizations because of these, heretic views. So
I believe it.
Anyway,
well, hopefully history will be kind to Nick. I mean,
yeah,
he's in the public eye, right? Oh, crystal ball.
So anyway, I didn't get her picture, but yeah, so we are all for Peggie, Sandi Peggie. There's an employment tribunal going on right now. It has been going on, or maybe it finished up. And basically, she is upset. There's two things going on. She got in trouble for misgendering, of course, for not being respectful, for being discriminated against, the lady man. And of course, her issue is you're discriminating against women by doing this crap. I mean, those are my words, not her words and her lawyerly words. But you can say her thing is like, could they be like, okay, you misgendered and you created a hostile work environment for our valid and valuable trans staff, whatever, blah 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 blah. This doctor dude who's decided he's a lady. And her coming back and not just her, but other people who are supporting her, saying, I don't care what you call themselves. The nurses' changing room and showers and sleeping quarters are just for females. That's basically her case. And as
occupational health and safety.
Yeah?
Right.
So we're hoping that they'll side with her on this, because so far, as far as I know, I haven't covered this as much as I've been following this as closely as I should. I know that Sex Matters and there's other things online that follow this, that it's, as far as I know, especially the last couple of years, that the women who take the slings and arrows and push forward on these cases end up getting a verdict in their favor. So hopefully that continues to, I'm assuming, I mean, one hopes, but
although I don't know how much good it does.
Who knows? Anyway, so crystal ball, again, this is going back, we'll end where we started with, because of course, again, the left, and I'm using the left how it's used in regular speech, so the Democratic Party and anything to the left of that, is refusing to learn any lessons by the resounding defeat. So in response to these things, oh look, they're being forced. They're very
evil little wars. Yeah.
Anyway, so, and also being upset that the Genderstein child vivisection sex lobotomy clinics are starting to be nervous about operating because of the federal of them not getting cover at the federal level, at least discursively or money wise, and becoming concerned about what that means for insurance. So they're getting it's becoming a problem. So what we have on the right, left, let's see if I can find this crystal ball. Fantastic. So citing biological truth, Kennedy issues guidance recognizing only two sexes. So crystal ball was really upset when she heard that when Robert F. Kennedy Jr., one of the first things that happened when he took over is they basically, the guidance from the government is that there's two sexes. And they go through this whole thing about how how there's male and female, and what that mean, what sex means biologically is, the gametes, and so you have one body that's organized around producing, large gametes and pregnancy and all that stuff, and then you have the other one with the sperm and blah 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 blah, and they make very clear about that there's only two of those, and they go through all the crap like they're intersex conditions, but those aren't at different sexes, and, blah, 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 and then whatever they say about gender. So Crystal Ball's not having it. And she, because she's very smart and or she can be, she writes, declaring there are only two sexes ignores the nature. Here I love. I'm gonna do Crystal Ball wise. Declaring there are only two sexes ignores that nature is full of variations that don't fit nearly in either box. It is the literal opposite of biological truth.
Oh my God, that's so everything about it sucked. The voice, the content is like a sharp crystal ball.
It's like, yeah, they're blonde. And let's get this right. There's lots of variation. Like, let's just use it with the ladies. So there's fat ladies and thin ladies and short ladies and tall ladies and white, different bone structure and
gay
different
ladies,
hair,
straight ladies,
and different interests and preferences. And some of us might have an extra toe, or we miss a toe, or maybe we have a third nipple. But we're all women because we're female. Yeah, there's variation within male and female. But there's at no point does a man pass over into that. So she's batshit crazy. But just the confidence,
but that's what Mar said too.
Just the confidence of this statement. But to her credit, even though she was ratioed, because 1,900 people were like, yeah, but 5,600 were like, you're crazy. And she was community noted.
Wow.
But she has kept it up there. She didn't delete it.
Oh, good.
And there's a fantastic...
Because she's signaling to the...
Yeah. I don't know. Declaring. Like, I declare that water's wet. I'm not declaring it. There are two sexes. I declare that that this is a cola can. I declare that the ocean is full of fish.
Right.
Well, just like,
well, you know what? There's a lot of people now. Right. I think we've all been in this position, right? Like things have gone wrong and a bunch of people are looking for a hero, right? The tide's turned, a bunch of genderists are looking for a hero, and Crystal Ball is saying right there, I am your hero. Okay, yeah. I am here for you. I'm your leader. Love me. Worship
my show.
Me, right? That's why she doesn't take it down.
Watch my show. Send me money.
That's why she doesn't have to take it down. The people she's talking to don't care if they've been community noted, or don't care if a bunch of bigots have complained. Like they don't care. They need the hero, and there she is, Crystal Ball. Yeah, with her gorgeous hair and her neat name and her
3 kids. She's had 3 babies. I mean, that's
a lot. Respect. Yeah. It's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
She did work. Apparently,
we should ask her, like, what sex are they? What sex are you? How do you know?
No, how do we know? We don't know. We've literally no idea.
No. Fit neatly into either box. What an idiot. Okay, so this is a tired meme, but no one ever gets to me. And the reason why I like this meme is because if they answer it, it shows how stereotypical their understanding of woman is. Yeah. So they can't answer it. But so I always say, so this is the thing, this is just my standard response now to these crazy people. But I just wrote back to her, tell us you're GenderBorged or bot without telling us transmaid. Everyone is male or female. The rest is marketing and cult of the female penis and male vagina cray. And the transgender mind bender, which is Hegel, because he has this thing quantity quality measure. So at a certain point or measure, a quantitative change has turns into a qualitative one. That's why I'm basing this on. So I ask, at what point or measure of adding or subtracting something from a man does he transition into a woman?
Yep. That's right.
And she should be able to do this. At what point do we go from one box to the other box, and how many boxes do we need, really?
Well, if it's science, it's science, right? Like, isn't that the framework we're working under? Like,
I don't know.
Science is science. Let me see if I can find a literal point. There must be some point where men become women.
Yeah. You just say it. Oh, do I have one more thing, or did I not?
I think you had the Mar thing, right? Where he's like that too.
Yeah,
like,
but I can't.
Variety.
I did, but
Damn,
apparently I didn't paste it
Well,
in
whatever.
here. Oh, there's one
He's a-
more.
he's a
Here's
gas
here's
bag.
another,
Oh.
another Nick Dury one. So this lady, a truly inclusive union, and so she wants everyone to know that I have so this is Andrea Egan Unison General Secretary. So she's it's a union general secretary. Look how lovely she is. I think
I can tell
it's
by her
maybe-
hair that she's going to be a live one. Yeah.
Or is it who knows? I can't tell. The hands look kind of big. But anyway, I have consistently opposed
What?
all-
They do.
Yeah, they do. I have consistently opposed all forms of discrimination, including racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, ableism, and ageism, and I always have. Well, aren't you great? In this house, and she says, Andrea Egan, I was over the moon to see our Unison Women's Conference overwhelmingly endorse a motion that supports our transgender and non-binary comrades. And Nick Dury wrote, there can be no solidarity if fealty to a particular religious evangelism is the test of a leader of a pluralist working class.
Yeah.
So he's,
No.
I mean, this is a naive, virtue-saying denial of any kind of contradiction, whether, and not, you don't have to think too far to be like, you can't just call everything a ist and an obia and have that be it.
No,
I mean,
I don't even believe in ageism. Like,
no, it's
I'm
also,
sorry. I don't
well,
buy that.
also there's some things that like if I, let's say that let's say I only have one leg or something,
Yeah.
or no legs, and I'm gonna apply to a job where it's obvious that I have to be walking around and then scream
no.
ableism if they don't accommodate me, or somebody else would if there was like ableist activists. Most people who have that condition, they wouldn't, but the people who decide to make them their case, it's just like, it's this crazy thing. But yeah, or ageism, like there's certain I mean, there's ageism, fine, but it's like there's certain things where age matters, just like there's things where sex matters. And to pretend that it doesn't is la la land. And these people,
It's ridiculous.
how easy it is just to be like, I'm so great, I'm lovely, and I'm whatever. It's stupid. Cow. Sorry.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Look, she didn't get to be the
here's
general
what I wanted to
secretary of Unison
Go ahead.
by
Sorry.
rocking the boat. She didn't
Yeah.
get to be she didn't get to be the general secretary by making people mad, right?
No.
Except for women, and who cares about them?
Yeah, they can be shut up easy. Like, what are you?
Shut
a
up.
racist? Ah!
You're supposed to be understanding, right? All right, what does Trump say?
So here's another one. So I think this was after Trump said, okay, this is when he came out. This is before. This is a picture of him with the ladies, but I don't know if this was the executive order about women and girls sports, or this is one where he basically said, like, it's the position of the United States government that there are two sexes. And so the Washington Post, their response
That's
is
Bezos' one, right? Or
Yeah.
is it?
Bezos, yeah. Trump says there are two sexes. Wait for it. Experts in science say it's not binary.
I have that excellent Skeletor meme, right? The He-Man one.
Oh, here we go. And this is the gender speak. The president's executive order signaled an intention. They make him sound like it's so crazy. To narrowly define the sexes. But experts say he's oversimplifying the intricate nature of human biology. Notice how they slip it out there. Sex is part of human biology. It's not all of human biology, yeah? So again, this conflation. And they like to they love to conflate primary sex characteristics, which are binary, with secondary ones. Like, men tend to have more hair, tend to be taller, the skeletal differences and all this stuff. But this is such bullshit. And it's also like, okay, experts and science. First of all, science doesn't say anything. It's a method. And there's good science and bad science. And, and experts are cheaper than politicians. So who gives a shit? But it's the thing, it's so stupid. It's like, there are two sexes. That is it. It's narrowly defined because you can narrowly define it. It's like saying the number one is too narrowly defined.
Yeah, of course.
or hot and cold is, it's like, well, you know, and they know, and again, I don't know who wrote this stuff, but still, this is this month. There's still these mainstream outlets of whatever are still pumping this stuff out.
Oh yeah,
Like,
they're always going to do it too. I give up. At one point I must have thought to myself, oh, you know what? All the arguments have been used. We've wiped them all off. People aren't going to say the same old crap, but they are. I mean, even sharing the same old Scientific American article from years ago that was so full of bunkum that even Richard Dawkins came out and made a tweet, and he's like, "There's an X chromosome and a Y chromosome," and
yeah.
But they're still dragging it out. Like, okay, this proves I'm a woman. Here it is. Scientific American proves I'm a woman. Like, yeah, whatever. Whatever. Ridiculous.
Anyway,
I can't believe this stupid.
Yeah, I'm just so done with it. But anyway, I mean, I have to say that the crystal, I think you're right on the crystal ball thing, that maybe it's just like, I can't, and again, it doesn't really, at a certain point, it doesn't really matter if they really believe it or not, because the effect is the same either way. And it could just be like, hey, I'm still down. I'm still the trans maid. I'm still your champion. And, a lot of them, and there's a lot of money in it. Billick showed us that there's a lot of money in being a trans champion.
There's so much money in it. There is so much money in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just saw the back of U.S. Ambassador to Japan, Rahm Emanuel. Goodbye, Rahm. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. But, that guy was whining and dining, at his fabulous ambassadorial palace or whatever the hell it is. I mean, whining and dining all the Japanese politicians who don't make any, they don't even wake up unless they're going to some kind of banquet. Honestly, they're like Linda Evangelista doesn't wake up. No, really, they don't. And, I mean, he just bought everybody. He bought everybody. And I know this because I saw all the tweets. He tweeted about it. But look at us having dinner here. Wow, what are we eating? Pretty fancy, hey? And the next one would be LGB. Come on, don't be bigots. Like, I literally saw. I was for years trolling him, like, Yankee go home kind of thing. He was eating like radioactive fish from Fukushima, and he's just a prostitute. I hope I don't get in trouble saying that.
Well, that we can say, I think. We'll find out. Who knows? I mean, I'm not big. We'll see if once our channel gets a bit bigger, then we'll see what we can get away with.
Right. Well, I hope I don't make trouble for you.
Oh,
because I'm pretty sure Rom's not going to sit there crying because I.
Well, how hilarious is that? Us two, MILFs. No, sorry. Of a certain age, we're still rocking it. That somehow, like, we have to be careful what we say on the internet.
Right. Well, that's
so radical. Us people just saying, basic facts and having some fun at the craziness. I mean, my God.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah.
It is fun.
Okay. So that's it. It's late where you are. Thank you very much, Tanya. This was fun. It's been a long time. Hopefully it won't be, hopefully it seems like this is still rolling along. So we'll have stuff.
God. Well, I hope it never ends because I don't know. I don't know what else I can talk about at this point.
Oh, you can talk about
senior's brain and
transferable skills. Yeah, transferable skills. We've seen that. But yeah, and I wanted to, maybe we'll do that next time. I wanted to get some of the transcripts together from this case, just the crazy shit people are saying, especially that doctor and the people from the foundation trying to makes it seem like this is also like obvious why, like, well, he actually said, I'm a female.
Must be totally deluded, because if it were me, I'd be like, no, we're not going to court. No. If I was the employer, no, we're not going to court. We're going to settle it some other way. Give her a BMW, do something. Keep her quiet. There's no way. There's no way. He must be deluded. They're all deluded. They're deluded.
I think maybe this is where, again, to bring I don't want to get too Zizek in here, but it's like, I wonder if there's this book, and I can't remember the guy's name, but it was based off a random comment he said about beliefs without owners. So you have these beliefs that but you can't really pin them down to anybody. And the thesis is that people believe that other people believe. So a lot of what we do is based on what we think other people believe. And it just kind of goes around and around and around, and eventually just kind of becomes like, I don't know, part of the normative thing. But that if you were to ever ask, but off the record or individually, people be like, well, yeah, no, of course, yeah, but.
Right.
And again, you think that, and again, that's part of survival. Like if I were to be like, find myself stranded in some, deserted island, and there was an odd tribe there, in order for me to figure, especially if they were hostile at all, I'd have to figure out quite quickly what I think they think.
Yeah.
And go along with it.
It's a life skill for sure. It's a life skill. It's
but
a life
again,
skill.
who knows so many reams.
But then they have the sweet taste. They have the sweet taste of compelling people to do their bidding, and it must fester their brains so that they can't stop. Yeah. They must just get a little taste of it. Like, I'm not someone who's used to people doing what I what does that feel like? But
I can really get my kids to do what they need to do.
No one does what I want.
And especially because at a certain point, because I got pissed off at my daughters because they're just, one's almost 13 and one's almost 12, and they're just, they're just being themselves.
Just hellions.
I said something. I'm like, you know what? If I have to keep on telling you over and over again to do your chores, I'm gonna go from this much a week to that much a week. And they weren't that impressed. And I thought, at some point they'll just be like, yeah, whatever. Then I'm not gonna do it. And like, could I really make them? Make them do the dishes if they didn't want to? No. And then I had to think to myself, if they really call me on this, then fine, I cannot pay them, and they refuse to do it, then I'll be doing everything.
You've reached the power trip event horizon.
Yeah, I'm like,
everything. No, it's true. I mean, that's the.
I'll have to be careful. Like, okay, maybe, it's like, what's worse, like having to be like constantly, like, because she knows, Eleanor knows, like, it's like the deal is that the dishes have to be done by 5 o'clock, so that when I go to cook, or whoever's cooking, you could, there's the stuff there. Right. And inevitably, I mean, and they're, oh, I'm coming, I'm going to be there in a minute. Oh, what's the problem? It's all this stuff. It's like, it's supposed to be done,
It's too much talking.
But again, if I push it too far, it's just like I just said, and you know this, because you also have kids. If I push it too far, she could be like, whatever, I don't care. I don't want the money. And I can't literally make her do the dishes. I mean, what am I going to do? Take everything from her?
No.
Like, so, and then I'll be like, shit, I'll be doing those dishes again. Like, I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah. Just remember, in teenagers are a little bit like troons in that they talk. They they keep you talking so that they can just, screw you around all day. Like, they just keep you talking. So,
Yeah.
Someone told me that the teenager's job is to make drama, and the parent's job is to not get involved in the drama the teenager made.
Yeah.
So, which is great advice. Like, it's saved me a million times. So whatever happens, like, don't go to that event horizon where you can't use your powers anymore. Stay out of the drama.
Well, and I'm pretty good at that when it's them just bitching at each other, because I'll just hear it, unless it gets too out of hand. Because they're getting pretty free with the language. And I'd be like, what did I hear? What did I say? Oh, no, I said this. I go, no, that's not what you said. I didn't say to you. I said to her, I go, I don't want to hear you saying, I go, you should not be using those words where I can hear it, because I cannot hear that word too many times without coming down and being like, what the frick, logger? I mean, what is this? Are we on the sailor boat now? I mean, what's happening? But yeah, unless it's really that, I'm pretty good at, and it's because usually it's usually that you can't figure it out unless you actually see it. You don't know, because no one's gonna, she said this, she said that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, fine, sort it out, separate. Right. There's 3 stories here, figure it out. But when it comes to actually like the laundry and the dishes and crazy situation in our bathroom, I mean, it's. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Tony. You don't want to hear my woe at 10 o'clock at night. Anyway. But fun times. But I did realize, I'm like, I can't go too far with this, or else I'll be doing all that stuff and no one will pay me for it.
No, right? Right, and the girls will say, this looks pretty good. But then maybe if you let a slow tear roll down your eye as you wash the dishes, maybe they'd be like, oh, poor mom.
I know Charlotte's becoming a germaphobe. I'll just wash it badly, like leave stuff on it, you know, because she's constantly like the cleaning supply use is out of control. I'm like, what is going on? And I'll just be like, oh, you know, it's mostly clean.
Right, good enough is good enough.
And just like I'll just do the laundry, like I'll put it all in there. I'm not gonna have to separate anything, you know. And she has this weird thing about other people's underwear being washed with her clothes. I'm like, well, it's being washed. I know I wear my clothes.
Is that right? Well, that's
oh
sweet.
Yeah. And when she's doing the laundry, that's fine. But I go, if you think I'm gonna separate out everybody's undies from yours, that ain't happening. They'll be all in it together.
It's
I'll
a
put
perfect
all the
place for her
underwear
to do her own laundry. Right? No kidding. Save water. These kids are supposed to be environmental.
Yeah, really. Oh God.
No, it's a good opportunity for her to do her own laundry. Right?
Yeah. I think so. Well, she's supposed to. She's supposed to be, she's primary laundry and Eleanor's primarily dishes. They chose this though, yeah. And then they get a day off, you know, Saturday or Sunday, I do it. And if it's a ton, I mean, we're not crazy. If it's really a lot, then I help them out. I'll be like, okay, I'll do the pans or, you know, I'll do, you know, but we have a washer and dryer. So calm down. It's the dishes that are the main things. We don't have a dishwasher. Well, we have her, but you know, so if it's too crazy, you know, well, I'm going to help out. But it's just like they're primarily responsible for it and they get a decent salary. And benefits like room and board, you know, and me scolding them about their choices. But yeah, just the realization, like, you know, once they realize, like, wait a minute, I can just be like, whatever. No, what are they really gonna do to me?
Yeah, I want to do more.
So they never beat me. They never not fed me. You know? Never called me really bad names. Like, what are these people gonna do to me, really? It's like, oh no.
Some people just clean up. Some people just love to clean up. They like to help out. They just clean up. I think it's genetic.
Yeah. Charlotte could be genetic. But she has, I need her to instead of just complaining about how everybody else is, I need her to channel that into actually doing something. It's like, yeah, I agree. They should do that. You know what'd be great? Why don't you? You know?
Noticing other people's mess is practically useless, right? Like it's noticing our own mess that's tricky. And the noticing other people's messers are often like, but I'm perfect and they've got crap everywhere and like it's like, don't notice someone else's mess. Deal with your own
what
mess.
I try to do with them is I'm like, look, shared spaces, we got to keep it clean. So like the kitchen, the living room, the bathroom, the shared spaces, you can't just, you know, what you guys do in your own rooms, and to a point, you know, if there's smells or like half the dishes are in there, and then it's like, okay, that's crazy, which is more my son thing than the girls. But then it's like, you know, your space is whatever. You know, I don't understand why you have a great closet and everything's on the floor, but you know, do you? But shared spaces, you gotta, you know. And it's also on their behalf because if they have friends come over, do you really want crazy town? You know, but it's just it's just they all do this though. Especially it was bad with Oscar, he started, but they all do it. When they all between 3:30 and 4, when they all come home from school, for some reason, it's just like a mass exodus. So there's like the shoes, the backpack, the coats are just all there by the front door. And it's like, well, there's a shoe stand and here's a coat rack, but it's all just like
Right.
And then later on, it's like, can you guys, you know, pick that up? Oh, no, I'm just going to have a snack first. And then I want to check my chat. And then, you know, I'm like, whatever. And then their dad gets home, like, yeah, 5 minutes. And I'm just going to throw it all in the trash can.
That sounds like me, right? That's what I've been doing too. I've just been like, everybody gets 2 coats on the rack, 2 coats. And when I see it go to just blood, I've just been throwing it on the ground. And like people are like, oh, how could you throw my coat on the ground? It seems crazy. But it's crazy like a fox because, you know, they've figured out that I'm going to throw their coats on the ground if they've got more than 2. We don't have that much space. That's why it's, you know, winter, 2 coats. They don't want their coats stepped on. I'm not stepping on coats, but they don't even want that. So, you know, it's needs must. Hi.
Hey, Jonathan, you're probably confused because the last 10, 15 minutes, Ty and I have just been talking about dealing with teenagers and preteens and how to get your kids to do what you want them to do when they decide that the punishment is not that big a deal for them. Anyway, but please watch the rest of it. That was actually the sex gender ID war update, not Tara and Tanya versus their teenagers or tweens update. That's a different show, and they'd be mad. They're always like, "You're not talking about me," and I'm like, "Oh no, I am talking about you." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not saying here's their picture, here's their name, here's their school." No, but anyway,
mine would die. She would literally come in here and be like, "Oh my God, look at you!" Die. Cringe. She would cringe herself to
bless
death.
them.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, thank you, Tanya. Have a good night. I will see
Thank
you
you.
next. I'll see you next time. On
Yeah,
our next
see you next time.
our next soiree, our next sex gender ID war update.
I'm looking forward
Take
to
care.
it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Thank
it. Always a
you.
good time with you. Thank you.
You too. You too. You too. I appreciate it. All right. See you.
And I didn't see Jenny Lynn. Bye. Bye, Jenny Lynn. I didn't
Bye,
see
Jenny
her
Lynn.
comment.
Bye. All right. So this has been another morbid symptoms sex gender ID war update. We talked about Trump via the GenderBorg and how the left is not doing themselves any favors with how they're responding to it, and also got into the various battles between nurses, female nurses, and NHS foundations, institutes, places that are always putting the needs and desires of men who claim to have a lady identity over actual women, to the point of, what's the problem if they use your showers and your changing rooms and whatnot? And then towards the end, we commiserate about how to get tweens and teens to do their chores and clean up after themselves, etc. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe, and share. If there's any topic or guest you want to suggest, or if you want to come on yourself to have participate in one of these talks, you're more than welcome. Please do let me know. I support this. You guys who support my infant channel, I am learning as I go, both the behind the scenes and on the scenes fine art of podcasting and whatnot. So I do appreciate you sticking it out as I learn these things. Anyway, have a good day, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.